Little earlier, I got a first proof about the police involvement, basically providing alibi, a criminal alibi for Milan Kuch and Robert Golob. May 4th is when Josip Broz Tito died. Is an individual I don't like. So when I say that he died, it doesn't come to me very easily to say this. I would prefer him to be hanged or something like that. But yeah, in Ljubljana, they actually, he was a very bad person and he was actually allowed to die. And yeah, the communists, Yugoslavs, right now they're saying the Reds from, they're not even a communist. This is an insult for the communists. The only country in the world that is communist probably is China. And China will not go do stuff like this to their own people. Ethnic cleansing, definitely not. They probably regard me right now when I say this as based on interaction with these people, they, I'm sure, regard me as a, like a character. But these people, anything that I say to myself, I am lying to myself in respect to police or even mom. When I say that, oh, she's crazy, they're crazy, they will never know. Yeah, they will never know how it is when you're a small person and you are all by yourself against entire world that a figure like Josip Broz Tito involved in crime against. The problem is that these police officers, they knew answers on every fucking question that is born in my head. And they didn't only know the answer to it. They know best, different, various answer to it. Because that's what MK Ultra is. MK Ultra is exactly what I stated in this video. It's a manipulation through established channels. And there is no such thing when it comes to the high-profile MK Ultra as channels that would be established. How can I say? Let's put it this way. Targeted person is not allowed. No matter what you try to do and figure out something new, you will never ever outsmart police. You will never ever found a new, different channel. Ever. And so I know that these bastards understand exactly what I meant when I addressed Josip Broz Tito with the issue of dying. It is when you are a small person, when you are a child, and they do very bad stuff to you. It's impossible to describe how bad stuff. You don't even exist. And I say this from the police perspective, and I say this from my own perspective, because when you're small and you see this big man and you're just nobody, you're just being decided about what they're going to do with you, just like with the fetus, like ladies do abortion, basically. When it comes to MK Ultra, they can abort you even when you're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years or 8 years old. They tried to kill me before I would reach the 3rd grade of the grammar school. Desperately. That's why the violence was so insane that is impossible to explain. It's impossible to explain what went on. And did this because they wanted to make sure that I would not progress to the 4th grade of the grammar school. I will never forget a classmate, teacher, Butcher, who was just giving advice literally to my schoolmates to get me killed at whatever cost it takes. Because as I'm going to start to grow up, they figure out the more difficult it's going to get to kill me. The easiest way to get rid of the children is through the violence in the school, about basically making children develop dementia, making children develop a total oblivion, loss of mind. I have seen children like this. I've seen children that were just from the beating, from the violence, completely lost. And I managed somehow to survive. I managed to somehow grow older, grew over this size when it was so easy to get me killed. And like I said, I wish it would be like, I also address them as bastards, that they would not know about this stuff. But you know, the truth is that every police officer that is involved in MK Ultra, they're all old, as experienced in MK Ultra as myself, cats. And when I say experienced, every one of these police officers, already when they were kids, they were members of these gangs organized by teachers, by what I earlier addressed to as rats. This elite, Yugoslav elite, every one of them, you can trust me, you can bet on it, every one of them knew about what MK Ultra is. You can bet on it when they were just small children, because they don't take ordinary people as MK Ultra police officers. And so, yes, I can only wish that these bastards would not even know. The thing is, they know, unfortunately, they know all too well what I mean by this. You know, when I referred to Josip Broz Tito as dying. And so, in this portion of the video, I will tell you that I stumbled across the second proof about the police involvement in, I have to be very careful about, because if you provide alibi for the murder to the high-profile politician, such as Milan Kučan, Robert Golob, Borut Pahor, the two were presidents of the Slovenia. Those politicians that wanted Slovenia back to the Belgrade, if you do such a thing, it's so much easier. All those threats they made in your face, and in this case it was about murder of my father. It didn't even start in 2004. It actually started earlier, like in 2001. Kučan, before that, they were upset with me because I would not know when Josip Broz Tito died. It was on May 4, just like my father was killed yesterday on a May 4. And earlier, I audio recorded it. I suggested this is the first proof you have about the police, direct police involvement into murder of my father. What exactly was it? Well, the police officer who met me today stated to me during MK Ultra, what they did again after I appeared at the police station also today, they rehearsed exactly the stuff that went on during MK Ultra. And it's what I learned, that through meeting with the police officer who met me today, he left me with words upon departure from police station during MK Ultra procedure, brainwash procedure. He left me with the words, he stated to me, the only thing that will hunt me for a while, and when I say hunt me for a while, I mean mind boggle me for a while is going to be the date of your father's death. And they had me, the one who had me at the police station in office, where they do this type of meetings with citizens. They were investigators that would bring me to the police station. They would just say just one more thing, and they would bring me to the room where, you know, like this guy was today, and then they would start to brainwash how to see things as. Well, there is a problem about this stuff. It's not only about this police officer who met me today, but it's also about police investigator who brought me not only to this police investigator today who met with me, but he brought me even into a morgue. You're probably wondering, what is this? This was attached to my father's legs, and you can see the sticker. You can see the sticker on his leg. It says, a physician, Oliver Ilic, a Serbian, signed a death certificate for my father, pneumonia, and under pneumonia he listed as a reason of death as a cardiac arrest. Just the way you see it. Aus et Savo, right there you can see it. Pneumonia, cardiac arrest. And the first worst thing that came to my mind was when it comes to police, which provided alibis even for Milan Kucan and Robert Golob, Borut Pahor, because of the threats they had made, because of their anger that I would not remember when Josip Broz Tito died. Milan Kucan directly demanded from the police to intervene so that I would not be so much against them. He really did this sometimes in 2006, but they started to instigate and murder my father on May 4th, 2000 and 2000, on a May 4, already much earlier. They wanted to get my father killed on Josip Broz Tito's birthday so that I would remember, as a police officer stated me, the investigator who was here, and also he was involved in this thing, he said to me during MK Ultra, he said, you don't even remember the date of the birth of your father. And yes, today when I was at this investigator in a police station in Novo Mesto, and I spoke to him, he drilled me into a birth date of my father. And I told him he is born in 1932 and on May. And I really couldn't pull the exact number when he was born. I was really bad at these dates. I had a lot of numbers that manipulated. I'm good with the numbers, everything. But I just was bad with the family dates, birthdays. And they suggested me, you don't give a fuck about him anyways. And that's basically because I would not know the birth of my father. My father also would not know the birth of me. This is just the way it is. I have a very, very difficult family members. If I ask my mom, what is your birth date? She would not tell me. She would insult, repeating exactly the words that I said to you. You only give a fuck about yourself and that kind of stuff. And the father, pretty much my sister was the worst one, who even prohibited my mom from telling me what her birthday was about maybe 30 years ago, which is actually sick, to put it plain and simple. That's not normal that you would order your mother to prohibit telling her son about what your date of birth is. I have extremely crazy family. Extremely difficult. I don't care about this kind of craziness. Every family is, I am extremely, let's just say I'm extremely a person that would just tolerate too much bullshit that other people would not. If anything is wrong with me, I am just a person that is not perfectionist, that is not a person that will go and just break somebody's balls for no reason. They might look like that because of what they do to me based on MK Ultra scenario, but this is just not the case with me. And I don't want to be eccentric, crazy man, a miserable guy. I don't want to have any part of that shit. I don't want to have anything to do with it. And this is what they always wanted me to be. I always had feeling that Kuchan wanted to make me miserable. All the time, he wanted to make me miserable, crazy, and use me to stimulate Robert Golob, Slovenian premier, Robert Golob. That was his apprentice. He is almost like a son. And so they told me, including the guy who I was with at a police station today who drilled me, what is the birth date? Yeah, and this is the guy for whom I also suggested that after we left with investigator during MK Ultra, he told me, the only thing that's going to bug me is going to be date of the death of your father. They told me, multiple investigators told me during MK Ultra, especially the one from 2022, come on, you don't give a fuck about your father. You don't even know his birth date. And he did this by demonstrating me the picture that you see here. He literally did this by demonstrating me exactly what you see here. He would bring me to the computer. He would demonstrate me exactly the picture that you see here and suggested me. They were making fun of me. They were literally making fun of me, like treating father in front of me, what would be a corpse of the father. Treating corpse of the father, this is the room where I was brought during MK Ultra on multiple occasions. Whom they were demonstrating me over there. What the fuck went on over there? There is just, I saw also father during MK Ultra over there. Is just questionable. However, I saw the father inside in there maybe on 2 occasions they had him in there. I wonder whether this man even knew what the fuck went on with him when they were using him to subject me to MK Ultra. This is what I started to frankly wonder about. Even that he addressed these investigators as Fantie. Fantie means boys. Come on, boys. This is how he was. He acted so stupid. Come on, boys. Let's go. Like, I'm crazy sometimes, joking, but I just hope that he was aware about what he got himself into. It hurts me so much. And the way they presented me this issue in this very room, in this room here, they presented me this issue like like you have a sticker attached to a chicken legs, and they were joking about it and gesturing me, you're gonna make a commercial for your blog and this and that, for the stuff that you do, basically timestamp camera. It all ended with gesturing me, and this is what the police did to cover up for Milan Kuchan, for the stuff that I spoke to about, for these politicians from Ljubljana, pro-Serbian politicians. They said, at least you're going to know the death of your father, when your father died. Yeah. And when your father died, based on what I spoke to you about, would be based on a death, what UDBA people, KGB, Slovenian garbage, it's how I see them as, view and see with the deepest respect, with the deepest sympathy, their dear Führer leader, Josip Broz Tito, even today in 2026. They are extremely, extremely mentally ill people, these people. As I did very good job on the blog and on the videos, try to describe their mentality. Though it's very difficult to describe mentality when it's just better. The best way to describe them is just to describe the incidents and basically the stuff they were into, and then let each reader, viewer to form opinion for himself about what kind of people I was dealing with. These people were extremely inhumane. When they presented me this, they turned off the light. There was no light in the room, and what they did was they just seated me in front of the computer. They had two computers like this. This is a computer that was all covered by the mold, and which I cleaned up. However, it is impossible to clean one. And they had another computer that was just like this one, and they completely destroyed one. He was molded computer, and what they were doing is they keep cleaning him, just like I did the last time with a lemon, not with a lemon, but with a half cider and half water. Is how basically I broke that mold. It's gonna come back. It's just a matter of time. In about 3 weeks, this should be coming back. I remember because they were timing actually the velocity of mold that was coming back on the computer. And during MK Ultra, these police officers always order me to put the vinyl bag on top of the monitor. Why? Because you can never get mold out of the LCD screen. You can even clean this here. However, there is no way you can get one out of the screen. I never did clean one, talking about the screen, but it's the first time ever that I cleaned the mold from here. They prorated, talking about the police officer from Novo Mesto, investigator, criminalists, garbage, that I'll be able, Božičnik was even included, and that's not a criminalist, it's actually a traffic officer. The old acquaintances that barricaded themselves in this house, they established that maximum on about 2 or 3 occasions I'll be capable to clean the computer before the computer is going to start to crack the paint and stuff like this. That's what they claim me. That's basically the way it was. As to the letter that I was sent right now, with 140 euros, they demanded from me to pay for being assaulted by an individual here in the village. It makes absolutely no sense, and it was related to the murder of my father. That's why I also went to the police station. His name is Franz Božičnik. Franz Božičnik is his name, and he is the head of the investigators, the head of the investigation. He told me to not even bother to clean the laptop until I pay the fine, which they would send me in the future, because if he sees the laptop that I have, he will want to take the laptop from me. This is the way this truly, I guess that they are paid to murder people. Individuals from Novo Mesto police station interacted with me. And it didn't stop there. It never did. They started to argue with the police, with other police officers about, as this Franz Božičnik stated, but there is one thing I can give you. I can give you a hard drive, and then it was Miran Sodin who was involved in it, and they studied the law, whether I would even be entitled to a hard drive where the data is saved. So when he stated do not clean the laptop from the moldy just yet, he said we don't take the moldy computers. He said this is a free tip for you. So if you will not clean your laptop, what's going to happen is we will not repossess you a laptop. These are fucking beasts. These are fucking beasts. It's not about the police. I don't know who you are, where you're from, and what you think you know about these people, unless you yourself are fucking crazy. These are beasts. Maybe you hired, I don't know. But these are beasts. Nobody's going to take me this away. You took my father away from me. You destroyed me. You beat me up. I did not expect it. I'm not going to bring my father at home alive to proceed my life with him, to offer him a private lake, a private house, a private residence next to the water. I do not believe that's not going to happen. I knew that this case is going to come to an end, and I will prove this case. This case is already beyond proven, already was beyond proven in 2018. But I will always feel, regardless of the outcome of this case, that I'm a loser. I am a loser. I am a loser because you murdered my father. You did beat me up, and I don't know where you got the guts with so many overwhelming proofs about your involvement, about your police and your physician's doctoral involvement in this murder of my father, that you actually dared to go ahead and get my father killed. I don't fucking get this. But yes, you did. And as the first issue that I want to address to when it comes to police that meddled into this, and they try to you know what they try to do is they try to create like a collective share, you know, for a murder of an individual, because it's like everyone takes a little bit, nobody gets nothing, right? Everybody wants to take a share in it. In that sense, this is just two proofs, which I stated you, that directly point out into total police knowledge pertaining to the murder of my father. I am glad I met the investigator today, because he didn't have to do that for me. What he did for me is painful, but on the other hand, it explains that maybe he is willing to talk. Maybe he is willing to make a deal with me. Maybe he is willing to tell all about what exactly took place in my case. I am shaken about this. I have a difficulty to comprehend this. They compared what you see here with the chicken sticker inside of the store, laugh about this stuff, and the impression they were making about my being so stupid for not knowing my, the birth dates of my parents and my sister, which I did. I had this stored, this information, but because of this kind of conduct toward me, this is just extremely, extremely bothering. They were just making, out of absolutely every sense, they were making very difficult, nonsense stuff, difficult to cope with stuff, abusive basically, and that kind of stuff. Then, of course, what you're going to do as a hurt person, what you're going to do is you're going to draw in yourself, and you're going to seek isolation, and basically you're going to process these things and try to find alternative to what otherwise should be life. And that's exactly, unless you want to go into a prison, right? So that's exactly what I was doing. They were just doing this kind of stuff like this with me. Yes, of course I will remember the May 4, and it's basically the Golob Kuchan. They say they guaranteed me that I will remember the May 4, the death of the Josip Broz Tito. The first one who was into this was Milan Kuchan, and this goes into the late, actually even mid-80s, like 1985, but it all then expanded after 1990 into a net of others, of which one person always next to Kuchan was young apprentice Robert Golob, who was just learning from Kuchan is, I don't know, misery. A man who was just trying to make me miserable as much as possible. And this video is dedicated to the police, not to Kuchan or anything like that. Yes, these are just the first two proofs about police indicating me a murder of my father. Yeah, one was just one murder of my father was like the one that I explained to you. That was basically playing with the dates, asking me about his birthday, and we selected a date is May 4. That basically they tried all their best to protect their comrade Milan Kuchan as a May 4, basically date of the Josip Broz Tito's death. So this is like some kind of a vengeance. Like I said, I don't have anything against Chinese communism, but when it comes to Russia and Serbia, I should say Yugoslavia, Russia enforced extermination procedure throughout the entire Soviet Union, just like Serbia enforced one throughout the entire Yugoslavia. It was all for the purposes of big Serbia, and in Soviet Union it was for the purposes of a big Russia. Yeah, you can call that even a colonialism, and not exactly really any camaraderie or, camaraderie as much as you're willing to die basically for occupation, pretty much. This is what, when it comes to Russian and Yugoslav communism, this is pretty much what this was. Josip Broz was just a crazy Croatian, Slovenian pawn placed in a Belgrade who did not know. I don't know how to express myself about that, but yeah. Yugoslavia simply exploded into war, and that probably explains the best about also how this man ran the country. So me paying respect to the shitbag like this is just no way. You're never going to get any of that stuff. Yeah, the police, they clearly knew, they clearly indicated me the direct involvement into the father's murder. This May 4, as this investigator today woke me up, reminded me, with the other investigator who brought me to him at his, not at his office, but in the room where he was waiting on me during MK Ultra and to have the interview with me. They did this shit repeatedly with me, so it really, really stick in my head. It made a very, very strong impression. When I met one today, I recalled also this kind of issue, that, the abuse gesturing me that you don't even know the birth of your father. Come on. That's why we selected you May 4. Well, that's pretty damn evil if you ask me. Milan Kuchan was extremely, extremely hurt in 1982. When I told Milan Kuchan in 1982, and Josip Broz Tito died in 1980. In 1981, I still tolerated the violence. And then it was already 2 years away from Josip Broz Tito's death. They told me it's already 2 years since his death. And I, for the first time, I said, fuck Josip Broz Tito. And he said, what did you say? That was Milan Kuchan. What did you say? That was at grammar school Novo Mesto during MK Ultra. And I said, fuck Josip Broz Tito. And I said, fuck you too, to the Kuchan, to the Milan Kuchan. Oh, it was a very, very bad stuff. That's when Milan Kuchan wanted to just kill me. It was 1982, but 1985, Milan Kuchan was completely insane about, you want to call this anniversary of Josip Broz Tito's death, or you want to call this whatever you want to address this as. Milan Kuchan was deeply attached to Josip Broz Tito. He had a very deep relationship, a very deep spiritual, mental connection to Josip Broz Tito. I had none. I had none. Not to Josip Broz Tito, not to him. I had no reservation. 2 years after the death of Josip Broz Tito, I sent both of them to the hell. They wanted to kill me, but in fourth grade of the grammar school, as I was in 1982, I already overgrew many men who were involved in MK Ultra. Many of them were just my size, and they did not even think about that I will continue to grow even after 1982. And to me personally, it became clear that I looked at myself and I looked at them, I looked at their fear in their eyes, that I will regrow them. The chances are that I will regrow. During MK Ultra. Now, did I even know that I will overgrow, grow bigger than any of these guys that was smaller and older and involved in MK Ultra case, violent thugs, grown man, old man? No, I did not even know that I'm gonna still keep growing. My life as a childhood was extremely confusing, extremely confusing, and so just as confusing as the stuff that I spoke to you about how I felt about this Josip Broz Tito. I did not like this man, and I said, just as I address the issue of not liking one, address Josip Broz Tito as a trash, as something like that. I know just how much this Slovenian KGB UDBA police officers that are from police station locally here, how much they hate me for that. I know that they just are hurt, and they are hurt simply because they are thugs. They're part of this organization, part of this gang that still exists here in Slovenia. They did not like the idea about my keep growing after the fourth grade of the grammar school. They just got an idea that it would be the best to just reduce me, shrink me into a small size. And as it became evident that I will continue to grow, they became obsessed with control, with the growth control. And it was again injections that follow up on me. I have a rough life when it comes to dealing with this. Who knows really what I am quite satisfied with the way it is. I'm a middle-sized individual, and life is a really weird thing, and it works for you as long as you know the meaning of the life. I too could go and surrender myself to the violence that these teachers, when it comes to mental illness, when they destroy the children, young children, when they destroy these young children, it was easy to get destroyed. You just had to give in into fear and stuff, and you get destroyed. This is the way they were doing the stuff here in Slovenia. This is how you destroy the child. You teach the child to fear, to be insecure, to question, it's just a school for that, basically, that they try to enforce also on me. And I was not interested. I was just not interested. I was interested in always getting back. And moreover, to go forward with it. That's all there is to it. And as long as you know the meaning of life, your life is going to be meaningful. And if you will, it doesn't matter how big you are, how tall, how strong, whatever you are, uh, life is not gonna be any easier on you. It's just simple as this, because you might not have even the meaning in your life. Hopefully, that all of you have a meaning. That hopefully that all of you know meaning of the life. So this is the way it is. The police, the normal master police, was just like they try to share the blame, the fault for the father's murder, and they try to share, and I just don't know how much they have to do with it. It is just as simple as this. But I know that they sent me a very, very, very clear signal. Today, they sent me a very clear signal. The two girls that I met today also at the police station were the two girls. Well, they were not girls. I am also addressing ladies of my age as a girls, which is not exactly appropriate. Let's just say ladies in their 50s, let's say, like I'm 54. Where the two ladies, the two girls, really, they were really young back then. When I selected them, literally, I'm not kidding. The one in the white clothing that it was inside of the office was not as educated as the blonde one. The blonde one was very sharp and had, I don't know what kind of degree, stuff like that, where she became a criminalist. And the one in the white stuff was just, it was like some sort of my sweetheart during MK Ultra. Yeah, I know. This is crazy. Yes, I know. But how are you going to survive such a degree of torture, an amount of torture, if the only thing in this world that was left to me, that I found sanity in, was actually in a female beauty. I was actually accused even of cheating and stuff like this during MK Ultra, but yeah, the truth is that this is about the survival. And if you don't have anything left, and the only thing you have left, if you're very lucky, maybe some beautiful smile from some lady, you have no idea how meaningful this stuff is. And so if there was something that I loved nothing more to appreciate in this world, and it was just the beauty of the females, basically. So this is just the way these things are. I think it was Ogolin or whoever it was. They presented these girls in their. Oh, I have to be careful again, because it's the white one was already a long time on a police station when I was playing with her during MK Ultra, and she always make herself like thrilled to see me, happy to see me. And then there was this red blonde girl that was there. These girls are taller than I am. Talking about the tall, these girls are taller than I am. They're like, I don't know, tall. And the other one, basically with the red hair, joined at a later time. I don't want to give the names. Basically, it's useless to give the names. It won't do me any good. It won't do them any good. It just doesn't do any good if I do this. And what they did was not only these two, but they have few of them, and they were really asking me, talking about the police, about which ones do I want to be an investigator, that kind of stuff. If I want that one or that one or that one. I mean, the stuff was so stupid. Like, yeah, right. I mean, now because you're MK Ultra subject, we'll bring you a ladies, and you will go and you will select whichever one you like that's going to be an investigator. They were really assholes, these police officers' orders. They had a humor. It was bad humor because after every one of these humors that they presented to some good-looking police officers, it was a beating that follow up on you. Okay, for every joy, pleasure that you got from MK Ultra meeting these ladies, all that stuff, most often it was like you got 10 times beating for wherever you thought that you would maybe take back to your life. They follow up with a severe beating, moral and also immorally immoral immoral beating of your morale, I'm going to say. Let's just put it that way. And then they introduce you back to your element. It was not in particular uh, tough stuff, tough love. They were involved in exactly the same procedure as it happened with later investigator whom I met, who also was implicated in MK Ultra, and who, by the way, spent a lot of time in Florida. He had some decent riding on a Florida, Central Florida, and so on. He liked coming to Florida. I don't know if he liked coming to Florida, but he did. He was just having a good time over there, basically. Clearly indicated me advanced knowledge about murder of the father, and if they didn't indicate me advanced knowledge of my father, they're in a lot of trouble, to put it plain and simple. Something is telling me I'm still going to get my father back. Alive. Um, it's ladies that I met today. Um, I was told if it's going to be the ladies that you will meet. In that case, uh, they told me you already know what's going to happen, and they pointed out at my mom, arresting mom, the females for the females. We had that kind of stuff during MK Ultra. I have honestly to tell you, I don't even know what exactly to expect out of the stuff that went on during MK Ultra. I am just puzzled, confused, and I don't understand any of it. Because these are my parents. I want my parents on the picture. I just want them to be normal, not to basically fuck around, but be like other families, normal way. And they insisted me, prosecutors and police, that that's not possible and that kind of stuff. And um, my parents, the only thing they did is they continue to enforce is basically exactly the program of the psychiatrists who designed the program. They had to act accordingly to, and whatever police demanded from them. And so, for that matter, I said that I'm a loser. Poor you, if you prove me being a loser. I mean, you son of a bitch. Poor you. Those that try to prove me that I'm a loser under this kind of circumstances through something I have absolutely no control over, that's just a really stupid thing to do. You know, I don't settle for the logic that it's actually really hard for me to settle for the logic that my father is my mom and my dad are guilty for it all. I cannot settle for that logic because that kind of logic doesn't make any fucking sense, does it? I was thrown into the psychiatric hospital in 2012. I have gone through hell because of what father got himself involved in. But the thing about it is that my father couldn't do absolutely anything about the stuff that went on, and nor did my mother. It was a state prosecutor. It was a police. I was asked today at the police station how all this stuff came to place. Well, I explained the police officer about the neighbor Andrei Ul, who played dummy, who played stupid me during MK Ultra. I explained the police officer about Igor Yurcic, who demanded from me to see one as my doppelganger, to see one as an individual who would play a strong option of me. It was Yana Zogolin who selected him so that he would imitate me. This Igor Yurcic was an ex-director of Novo Mesto police station, and he was used for the brainwash like the one yesterday, let's say, that happened to me. They brainwashed me prior to what they anticipate is going to be my arrival to visit father at urgency department support room. And as much as neighbor was used to assure my mom, on whom even psychiatrist cops would await it right outside of the door, or the entrance to the house, to ensure her that she had nothing to worry about, that is just as Andrei Ul imitated me about my mental illness, to assure my mother that what she's doing is not going to have any consequences on her, because the reaction that Andrei Ul did, also the stuff was done right in front of me to make this feeling that mother is doing something bad will bear no consequences for it, because the whole thing was based on psychiatric case against me, and since my earliest childhood. Contrary to this, Igor Yurcic was used to portray me as an intelligent guy, and was giving me an advice on how to avoid certain things to get forward. He, during brainwash, labeled my father based on what would be on a timing as I would appear at this urgency center as dead already man, corpse. That's how he called him. Angry, trying to make an impression on me to just, disregard him completely and go and do your stuff. Well, man, 4 years I was coming to the father and I was trying to save my dad. I was doing my best basically to get my father saved out of that home for elderly people, and I couldn't do it. And I felt that based on demand to pay them a money, 143 euros, would be the best thing for me to go home. Definitely. And as I came home, boom, got the notice that father is dead. I did some work on the computer, backup and stuff that I had to do. And the next thing is, father is dead. It happened at 3:42, as I was just preparing to do big video pertaining to the letter, pertaining to, and I realized I'm not going to have time to make the video about this crazy letter they sent me. The prosecutors, psychiatrists that wrote exactly the program My mom was not only subject to brainwash inside of the car, where they use this neighbor, Andrei Ul. She was also a subject of brainwash, repeating the same shit basically at home for elderly people. That's where they would also have me at home for elderly people, where mother would be pushing father around, imitating basically just the stuff that took place once I appeared at home for elderly people in 2020. With police assuring her everything is going to be okay, psychiatrists observing her, psychiatrist cops observing her up close, and giving an instruction on what looks normal and what's not. So this is basically with the precision that they were working on. And mother was coming to visit father during MK Ultra procedures for I don't even know how many years. She kept coming visit him. Maybe 20 years at least. Sorry, 25 years, maybe 30 years, 25 years for sure. And it's where they would bring me because father had his own assignment, which police, psychiatrist, cops gave him. You understand? So when they made an impression on me like, this was also a reminder today that took place, that mom is about to be taken away, that kind of stuff. They have all kinds of scenarios that mom is shortly is going to be taken away, that kind of stuff. This is just to let you know that you as a judge or as a prosecutor, since you did this shit, this whole thing you enforced, you don't actually have any powers against what I see as a justice. That's why I also said that you turned me into a loser. You turned me into a loser. There is no such thing like it was a daddy and mommy operation it was more than dad and mom and police. It was a psychiatrist, it was a state prosecutors, it was and not to mention to say politicians. You know how small this makes my mom and my father in respect to blame for what took place. I mean, just already, as I said, that such a politicians that were involved in it, this practically completely disperses blame from the shoulders of my mom and father. My mom and father are not King Charles or Prince Charles, I should say, or Prince William, or Donald Trump, or Milan Kuchan, or something like that. These are just, or Vladimir Putin. These are just ordinary, more like workers, peasants. No royal titles here. Regular people like myself, basically. Nothing out of ordinary. So, honestly, when I think about this stuff, the way they pressure this stuff, and I don't understand, because I said, I repeated to father, please just say this, because it's nothing they can do. He just instead, saw it his way, and mom sees it her way. What father have done to me is between me and my father. Actually, with my ability to deal with the problems that he created. So as long as I don't file criminal charges against one, as long as I don't go after him, it's needless to say who, how, and what, and etc., etc., etc. And it's the same shit with the mom. But the people who created this whole story, Spielbergs from Slovenia, that have everything to do with these problems, they don't see it that way. I see them as a sore losers who don't want to take responsibility upon their shoulders for the stuff they implicated numerous people into. is just completely irresponsible and stupid, and it's making the whole thing that much harder. This is basically what I wanted to say. There's state prosecutors, judges that were involved, and from all instances of justice courts. Uh, why creating this kind of game? You're trying to reduce this crime to a mom and dad and police issue when it's you actually that were implicated in this. Psychiatrists were used to teach them. Prosecutors were used to evaluate not one possible scenario together with the police, with the criminalists, but out of every situation they developed 10 different scenarios. So this is just basically food for thought. Not everything is so simple, not everything is so easy to judge, and people in many cases overreact in respect to this case. They just don't understand really how the hell this stuff works. Not everything is so dark, and it must not be the people who did this shit that will end up basically, I don't know, maybe throwing people behind bars or prosecuting them or wherever the case might be. That's all I wanted to say. This is my mom, and right there that you have seen, that's my father. I want my father back. I want my father back. This is not Josip Broz Tito. Fuck Josip Broz Tito, like I told you, Milan Kucan, in 1982, 2 years after the bastard, let's just say, passed out. Okay? You wanted me to know the date of my father's death is a May 4, 2026. Will come with a big price tag, bigger than the one that I demonstrated you right there, was attached to my father's leg, like that. Humiliated I was in front of the computer at night by the police, compared him with a chicken basically, or brought me inside of the room where they had him just like that, and traumatized me basically with his death. And during MK Ultra, this is insane. This is just the stuff that it's hard to imagine. Look, they even buried me on several occasions, alive. Got me into a coffin and throw the ground on the coffin and all kinds of stuff like this. Even that kind of stuff we have gone through. But the shit that is associated with the loss of the father like this shit is just done maliciously, deliberately to break absolutely everything in me. The problem with this MK Ultra is that you don't recall, most of the time that you don't recall till it actually happens. That's where the problem is. Like, what about my mom? If something happened to my mom, they're gonna do to mom. I don't even know yet the scenarios they prepare for the mom, and if they did prepare the scenarios for the mom, which I remember all kinds of scenarios the mother was talking to me about. That shit also is nasty. And like I said, I need mom and I need my dad, not for the work, just basically to have them around, like you have flowers or whatever you have, just so that you see them, going around, whatever. I'm not the one who authorized anybody to do this. I was certain that I will win, and instead I was turned into a loser. Win, in my case, meant that I'm gonna have my father see those who did this shit to him and to me imprisoned, and him walking worry and free of fear free, fishing with me, whatever. I would have him do whatever he was to do. And the same thing my mom. And it's just what you did is you you threw on a table murder of my father long time ago already. That was to take place. You started to drive me crazy through the home for elderly people in early 90s, and actually even in late 80s. And you have proven me with so many times that you repeated that no matter what I do, that father will be gone, that he will be killed. Just as I pointed out on the blog, you have proven me that I absolutely had no control over something that I was giving a pledge during MK Ultra for at least the last 30 years, that I'm going to save him, that I'm going to be better than what you presented me during MK Ultra, because they always put in such a situation as if you won't be capable to act on time, or you will come tired, or you're not going to come, or you whatever the hell it might be. You know, I was doing this shit with 4 hours of sleep per day. This is another issue. And something that I may have failed to mention police officer today, because he interrupted me with the stupid shit, asking about how long did I stay inside of the psychiatric hospital. That kind of stuff was completely not associated with my explaining what they did to the father through the play with the viruses, infections, and stuff like this, perfumes, colon water, and all that kind of stuff. How he stuck since November of 2025 to, you know, January and February and March, basically inside of his bed and stuff like this, all sick, choking himself and shit. He was practically really on oxygen for like 3 months. They had him, which they drove me absolutely insane with this shit. And the one who drove me more fucking crazy was the father, because obviously that he saw that if I'm not present, that if I'm not there, if we're not making exercise, that we go and fucking die. And he would still not give me the information. He would still not say to me, hey, yeah, it really was a police here. We need to do something about this. Can you do something that we can do so that I can help him out on time? And it just didn't happen. And finally, I am, after a very, very, very long battle that I have with the police, with all these criminals that were involved in it, in torture, guaranteed me my father's death. Beaten up, basically. Beaten up, literally beaten up based on MK Ultra scenario. Beaten up, proven to be a loser. Proven to be a loser. Proven to be a loser because simply I was not there when I had to be. And I wasn't there when I had to be because of the police letter I got. And I wasn't there when I had to be because I did not even understood when I was driving to the father where the fuck I'm going. When I came to this urgent, room, and when I came to this support and stuff like this, based on so many infections they did on the father at home for elderly people, I was certain that absolutely there's no chance that something can happen to him. They had so many times father on this support oxygen and shit, and they were assuring me how good this stuff is during MK Ultra. And this Serbian physician from Home for Elderly People spoke about blood analysis sent to the hospital as per, like, it sounded to me like some kind of a revolutionary way, like so much more advanced, so much better, so much less to worry about, that I was pretty much worry-free, except that I had to submit the complaint for the letter that a female police officer from the Novo Mesto police station sent me about required payment for me being assaulted, not for assaulting anybody. That I had to rush home that day. And that's where they have proven me that Milan Kucan is May 4, the anniversary of the Josip Broz Tito is dead is still in place in respect to my father. Like I said, a few hours later, the phone rang downstairs. Father is dead. And they did rehearse the phone call, and they even did something more disgusting. They did something also that suggests me that they espionaged also on the on my communications, which I interacted at that point in time through the messenger with somebody. I believe they did even that stuff because they involved. They did a really bad stuff. Everything I would do, everything that everybody, whoever would want to meet me, they had in program to punish. They had in program to punish absolutely every girl that would want to meet me, that would want to see me, that suggested me, if it's going to be this girl, we're going to kill your father because you don't need him anymore, practically in that sense. This is so barbaric what this Slovenian police did. I mean, it's just, it didn't stop there. They went on to give the ultimatums to females. They gestured me that it's going to be perfect for me to go back to America because it's so easy to get lost. It's a wonderful way to just let it throw all away, your brain and everything, and just let it go. That's going to be a female waiting on me, and they had in mind 10 different females. Beautiful females, I'm going to say, for whom, however, they gestured me that, yeah, as soon as it's going to be one or it's going to be the other, as soon as it comes to this, we'll just get rid of your father. That's all there is to it. And by the way, if you're going to stay here in Slovenia, the only thing that's going to happen is we're gonna get you killed. That's all there is to it. They wouldn't even go and say through the psychiatric hospitalization or something like that. They indicated it, but didn't clearly indicated how they would get rid of me. This. They are not lunatics. They are not lunatics. They know exactly what they're doing, and they were doing this stuff unapologetically, without any reservation whatsoever, anything. They were just doing it because they could, they can, and I believe because they assumed that they were police officers and they were not touchable, the Slovenian police officers. This police officer investigator who brought me to this man whom I have spoken with today, the investigator, criminalists, both are criminalists, he was asking me, they were asking me in front of the computer, what do you think you're going to get? What do you think you're going to get? And they were showing me exactly the stuff I'm showing it to you right now. What do you think you're going to get? Like, it's, what do you think, what do you expect you're going to get? So this type of attitude, when you do to a person, what you're trying to do is you're trying to brain kill this person. I suffered depression because of this father's stay at home for elderly people, because of his stupid attitude. He didn't want to cooperate for me to get him out of there as fast as possible. It was extremely depressive. It's impossible to tell how. It's something I never even mentioned, this stuff. I never mentioned that I was actually in depression. I was in a most severe depression. I probably gained at least 10 kilos because of depression I was in, because of father's stay at home for elderly people. I was eating myself. I couldn't bear the thought that he's in a situation as he was, because of the brainwash, because of the stuff they did. It's impossible for me to even describe about the stuff I have gone through these past 4 years because of what they did, used father for. And That's exactly what they did. What do you think you're going to get? What do you think you're going to get? The only thing you're going to get, and compare this to a chicken you buy inside of the store with a tag attached to his feet, basically. In most disgusting criminal way possible. This is just not the way you talk to a person unless you want to remind one of something and you are out there to help him out, but otherwise you don't do it. It's just whole thing is just too fucking crazy. The reminders of the stuff that went on, I'm going to say thanks to this police officer whom I met today. I'm not actually even angry at him because I realized that he used a technique to deliberately smash me into maybe even epicenter of the memories pertaining to what they presented me during MK Ultra as my father's corpse. The police demanded for me to shut up in respect to my father's corpse during MK Ultra procedure when they would deliver me to him, literally in his room. They demanded from me a complete silence about this stuff, which kind of actually even makes me believe that maybe he's still alive, that maybe they made him disappear or something like that. It actually even believes me this. Do you know how fucking crazy I am because of the stuff that they did to me, because of the play with these fake death certificates? Do you know how difficult this is for me? It's impossible to even explain about this stuff. It says pneumonia and cardiac arrest. I'm just deeply hurt because of this stuff.